This is the Washington Times front page for the final day of August, Thursday, August 31st, 2023. Thanks for joining us. I'm George Gerbo. A women's shelter in Houston says its clients began receiving images of their abusers waving guns soon after an appeals court struck down a federal law barring domestic abusers from owning firearms. Alex Sawyer reports the Houston Area Women's Center said abusers were sending a message of intimidation without even firing their weapons and driving their victims to live in fear of their power. The shelter has joined a chorus of voices asking the Supreme Court to step in and revive overturned restrictions aimed at keeping guns out of the hands of dangerous or unstable people. The court is slated to hear the case during their next term, which begins in October. Opponents of former President Trump are working to convince state election officials that his name should be blocked from the 2024 general election ballot if he wins the Republican nomination. Susan Ferricchio reports his staunchest opponents say some of the criminal charges in 4 indictments should disqualify Trump from appearing on the ballot. In New Hampshire, Attorney General John Formello said this week that he is carefully reviewing arguments by a group of Republicans who want Trump off of the ballot. They cite Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which disqualifies anyone who has rebelled against the U.S. government through an insurrection or aided its enemies. A survey in Great Britain has found nearly 2/3 of priests in the Church of England said Britain can no longer be described as a Christian country. Mark Kellner reports the Times of London survey found about 64.2% of clerics said Britain could be called a Christian nation only historically, not currently. The clerics' assessment dovetails with 2021 census results reported by the British Office for National Statistics, which noted that less than half the population of England and Wales identified as Christian. Survey respondents expressed little optimism about the church's future. Only 43.9% of priests indicated it is very likely that they will still be holding a service every Sunday in 10 years, and 66.7% anticipate church attendance to continue to decline in the next decade. Observers of North Korea's state media should brace for fewer images of a beaming Kim Jong-un. Andrew Salmon reports North Korean propaganda ministers are cutting back on releasing such images. They are aware that some images and media segments have become objects of ridicule across the world. The Korean Central News Agency and other North Korean outlets are viewed and scrutinized by outsiders for signs of what the opaque Kim regime wants its population to know. And finally, pressure is mounting on conservative-leaning states to sever ties with the American Library Association over concerns about the progressive advocacy of its president, Emily Drabinski. Valerie Richardson reports Drabinski labeled herself a Marxist in a now-deleted social media post. The Montana State Library Association voted last month to break off from the ALA due to it, as did Texas. Drabinski defended her tweet in an interview with NBC News. She said she was excited to highlight and celebrate aspects of her identity that are really important to me and are often under a lot of scrutiny. Find all of today's front page stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page or on the Washington Times app, and find us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Washington Times in any major podcast app. You can also find us on social media at Wash Times for breaking news, sports, commentary, and more. For the Washington Times, I'm George Gerbo.